Hi, my name is Darian and I would like to share my experience from 20 years ago with you. 20 years ago, I was walking down the street when a man approached me. I tried to ignore him and walk away, but his friends joined in. There were 4 of them, and I knew I was in trouble, so I tried to get away. And I saw an apartment building, so I ran into that apartment building looking for help. There was a security guard at the entrance. And I said to him, please help me, there's these men that are after me and I need to call the police. And he said, no, get out. And I begged. I knew I was in real trouble. I needed to get away from these men because they were going to hurt me. And the security refused to help me. 2 of the men that were harassing me walked into that apartment building and they dragged me out, kicking and screaming. And the security did absolutely nothing to help me, he just looked. They dragged me out of the building and they forced me into a vehicle. They drove out of town. They drove to an isolated beach. When they got me to the beach, they took my belongings, they took all my money, they took my jewelry. And all the time I just kept thinking, I need to get away. I need to get away because this is not going to end good. So as soon as I got the opportunity to run, I ran. I ran directly towards the sea, towards the ocean. I thought that if I could get into the water, there's no ways these guys are going to follow me. And I don't care what happens to me after I get into the water. Let the ocean have me rather than these 4 men. I was not lucky enough to get to the water. They caught up with me before I reached the water's edge. I was dragged back. I was beaten up. I was then brutally raped at knife point by all 4 men. And I was fighting back. I fought back with everything that I had in me, but at some point, my mind just sort of disconnected from my body. It felt like I was watching someone else being raped. I could see myself lying there in the sand. I could hear my screams, but there was just this disconnection. I think it was my way of coping, my defense mechanism kicking in. Sometimes that still happens to me. I still have trouble reconnecting. Anyway, they eventually left me on that beach and I had to find help. So I found most of my clothes, put it back on. I found the nearest police station and I reported the rape. I was treated so badly. During the time that the police officer was taking my statement down, I felt like I was being interrogated, as if they didn't believe me, as if they thought that I had done something to provoke this attack on me. The officer that was assigned my case then took me to the scene of the crime. We found my top and I asked him, don't you want to take this for evidence? Because there's body fluids of all 4 men on that top. And he says, no, I don't need it, you can have it. I was then taken to the district surgeon. The district surgeon showed absolutely no sympathy for what I had been through. At one point he said to me, oh, well, it's really difficult to examine you because you've got your period. And I said to him, I don't have my period. I'm not due for my period. I'm bleeding because I've just been raped. So once that visit was over, the police officer then took me and left me in central Darian and told me I need to find my way home from there. I had no money. He knew I had no money, but he said it was not his problem how I found my way home. I went to the taxi rank and I saw somebody that I knew, and he looked at me and he said, what happened to you? Because there was a gash on my face, and I said, I've been mugged and I don't have any money to go home. I need to get home. So he offered to take me home, and I got home and I walked in and my mom was, where have you been? And I asked her, didn't the police phone you? Because I asked them to phone you and notify you what had happened to me. I looked at her and I said, I've been raped. And she just walked away. And I don't blame her, because I think she really didn't know how to handle the situation. But it made me feel like I had done something wrong. That Monday morning, before my mom left to work, she said to me, don't tell anybody what happened. So I never spoke about it again. I was silent for years because I was told to be quiet and not to tell anybody about what happened to me. It really, really affected me. I just took all that pain and that hurt and I just bottled it up inside of me. And when you bottle up hurt and pain like that, it becomes like a poison that's just running through your body. It just starts eating away at you slowly. And there came a point in time where I just really, really did not know how to deal with everything. I thought that this is it. I cannot possibly go on like this anymore. And I started going to a church, and this church was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing because the people there were just so full of love and acceptance, and they never judged. They just accepted me for who I am. They didn't ask questions about my past, nothing. And if they did ask a question, and if I said, I don't want to talk about it, that was okay with them. And they just loved me through. And so that church became my safe place. And because I had that safe place and I knew I was protected there, it finally got me into a stage where I could go and say, I'm really struggling, I need help. And I remember going to my pastor for him to pray for me. And I looked into his eyes, and I looked into his eyes and I saw such love and kindness there. And that kind of love and kindness, I believe, can only be the love of God shining through. And it was because of that that I felt comfortable enough to say, I need help. And he put me in touch with one of the leaders of the church, and I started going to her, and she counseled me and helped me to deal with the situation. I was finally able to come to a point where I could say, yes, I've been raped, and not feel like it was something that I did wrong. I came to a stage where I realized that there was nothing I could have done differently. And I started to heal. It took me about 2 weeks to fully recover physically, emotionally and mentally. I think I'm still recovering. I think it's not something you actually totally get over. And healing is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It takes time. It takes time to build up trust and to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself for who God created you to be, and not the damaged person that you perceive yourself to be. I think for a lot of rape victims, they look at themselves and they feel like they're damaged, and they feel like nobody can actually love them. There are people out there that will support you and they will love you. The important thing is to reach out and ask for help. And I found that from the time that I reached out and I started telling people and started talking about my experience, it helped with my healing procedure. It helped with my healing process. And every time I tell somebody my story and every time somebody shares my story, I feel like I am a little bit stronger. I feel like my voice is being amplified and something good is coming out, something bad that happened to me. It's all about bringing awareness, about dispelling rape myths. It doesn't matter what you were wearing, what you were drinking, who you were hanging out with, what you were doing. It doesn't matter any of that. You are not to be blamed for being raped. The only person that can be blamed for rape is the rapist themselves. So my message to anyone who has been raped, it was not your fault. And I wish I had somebody tell me that after I had been raped. So just know that you're not alone, that there are people that will stand by you and believe your story. Whether you choose to go public like I am doing, or whether you choose to just tell a select few people that you are close to, it's totally your decision. There's others out there that will support